أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واتبعوا ما تتلو الشياطين على ملك سليمان وما كفر سليمان ولكن الشياطين كفروا يعلمون الناس السحر وما أنزل على الملكين ببابل هاروت وماروت وما يعلمان من أحد حتى يقولا إنما نحن فتنة فلا تكفر صدق الله العظيم. In the verses before this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about the Yahud, their habitual system that had become part of their life was whenever they had made a covenant, made a pledge with anyone, then they would break that pledge and behave as though there is absolutely no covenant or no pledge in place. And such was their audacity that even their covenants with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala were not only not adhered to, but it was absolutely denied. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speak once again about another aspect with regards to the Yahud. And this was not only the Yahud in the time of Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wasallam, but this goes right before the time of the Nabi of Allah, Sayyiduna Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاتَّبَعُوا مَا تَتْلُو الشَّيَاطِينُ عَلَى مُلْكِ سُلَيْمَانَ. And they followed, that is the Yahud, مَا تَتْلُو الشَّيَاطِينُ, whatever shayateen, that is the jinn that had not embraced Islam, had recited upon the kingdom of Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam. Now before the time of Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam was a time of great trial and great test in a particular aspect with regards to the jinn and also with regards to what the Quran terms as sihr, which we colloquially will call jadoo, black magic, sorcery, etc. So one aspect of it was that before the time of Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam, like we have often heard, that the jinn will go up towards the skies and they will eavesdrop and they will try to listen to the ahkam, the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever commands Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be sending down, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained, insofar as even the taqdeer of people, they would eavesdrop and then they would bring that information to the sorcerers, soothsayers, fortune tellers of that particular time. And in the initial stages, they had done it in such a way that whatever they heard, they passed on without any fabrication whatsoever. Now this included sometimes the birth of a child or sometimes the death of a person. Now if we can just imagine that these jinnat are bringing this information to fortune tellers, and then the fortune tellers are now predicting the death according to that information, and that actually occurs, or the birth of a child, be it male or female, whatever the case may be, these occurrences was 100% because there was no contamination whatsoever. But obviously, as time went by, these jinn began to fabricate, and it comes in the narration that for every one truth, they fabricated 70. So the result was, out of every 71, there was one that was only true. But obviously people were already impressed with the rate of truth that they had experienced. And then the Bani Israel, the Yahud, began to write down these kinds of information. Other informations were also given with regards to other aspects, and all of this was written down by various people. The result of which was that many books were then collated, many books were written, and these books were kept by the people. Now comes the time of Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam. We know that Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala had blessed him with many great ni'mats besides the ni'mat of nubuwwat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him with kingdom, with sovereignty, kingdom over the jinn, over insan, that was obvious. over the birds and the other creatures and creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what happened actually was that there was a very close relationship between jinn and insan also in the time of Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam. When Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam was given nubuwwat, prophethood by Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam began to put a stop to these people reading these books, because they began to believe in it. There was a lot of fabrications in it. There was a lot of aspects that was contrary to Iman, contrary to Tawheed, contrary to the basic commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And people began to take that as gospel, and the result of all of that was there was chaos amongst the people with regards to their Iman, contamination insofar as the beliefs were concerned, the actions, etc. And in this way, Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam had also put a penalty that if anyone is found reading these books, then that person's head will be slain. And in this way, Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam had sent out people. These books were all collected by Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam. Obviously, to uproot the evil, he had to bring those books. And after Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam had collected a large number of these books, Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam had buried all of this under his throne. So during the time of Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam, some kind of sanity had prevailed. People then forgot about these books. People then began to worship Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. And in this way, Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam had brought order. But of course, Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam would have also had to leave this world. And when he left this world, it comes in a narration that the first generation venerated Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam. They were his disciples, his followers. So there was no contamination there. But after that generation, Shaitan comes to the people, and in this way the shayateen and Shaitan begin to infiltrate into the hearts and the minds of people, reminding them about this treasure that is under the arsh of Sulaiman alayhi salam, under his throne. Shaitan directs the people to it. The result is that they dig it out, and when they find these books, they begin to recite and they begin to read these books once again. And again, chaos became prevalent amongst the people. So here in this first portion of this lengthy verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاتَّبَعُوا مَا تَتْلُو الشَّيَاطِينُ عَلَى مُلْكِ سُلَيْمَانَ. They followed that which the shayateen, that which the jinn who had not embraced Islam had read upon them in the sovereignty, in the kingdom of Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam. And this effectively meant then that they left the wahi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they left the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the one aspect. Then the other aspect of sihr, inshallah, will continue in the balance of the ayah. May Allah ta'ala give us the tawfiq. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka.